In this video we're going to work through how to create a text stencil using a technique called bridging. For this setup you will need some tape, your cutting mat, a piece of paper and a piece of acetate and your Stanley knife. If it's your first time doing a stencil and you're not super comfy with making text yet, the easy solution to go and find a pre-made stencil and trace the letters on the stencil. I like to use a technique, it's not super easy to explain how to do, but I come up with my message and think about how I want it to sit on the page and around about how big I want each word to be. And so in this circumstance, the letters are about 2 fingers high. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 rows, and then it's about a finger width in between each piece of text. So a rough guide would be 2 fingers, 1 finger, measure that up on the page, and then when figuring out the width of the text, it's kind of a similar process. So you kind of know that an I is half the width of any other letter, so it takes up 1 finger, whereas a U takes up 2 fingers. And a space is also 1 finger. And you can kind of figure out around about where you want each letter to go. And so this is the lovely phrase that I've come up with, which says, "I just met gay with hair past their number of regions," which relates back to my exhibition. In order to create this stencil, you would draw up your design onto a piece of paper. I would keep it within an A4 size. The screens that we're going to be working with today are not that much bigger than an A4 size, so you want to always allow about 3 centimetres around the edge of your design so that when you're squeegeeing, which we'll go through, there's room for your squeegee to still fit into your screen. So the process of creating the text, when you draw a letter, there's a technique called bridging, which allows the inside piece of your letter to stay connected to the overall piece of paper. So bridging mostly happens in P's, A's, O's, R's. They're the main ones that I can see on my page. It's a process of drawing a connecting line so that when you cut down the line, the acetate stays connected to this big sheet of plastic. So I've got one here that I cut earlier. Actually, I'll just hold it up so that you can see maybe a bridge. So this A is a really good example of a bridge. There's an R has a bridge here, so you can see that little connecting line there is what's keeping the triangle connected to the larger part of the acetate. I like to mix it up. With my designs, I like them to be a bit messy and a bit chaotic. So in region, I've completely taken the center of the O out. So you can play with it. Get creative, don't feel stressed or worried if you accidentally cut one out. It's totally fine. When you're cutting your stencil, the first step is to obviously draw the design, and then you want to tape your design down to the cutting mat. Not too much tape, just a little bit on each side, just to keep it in place. And then you would start with a clear piece of acetate, and then you want to tape that piece of acetate on top of your design. And you want to leave a little bit of an edge around. You don't want to cut off the acetate because it will come apart, and you really want that acetate to keep nice and together when you're putting it onto your screen. So if we tape the acetate down as well. And the reason why we use a cutting mat is A, because it saves your desk, but B, because it's really important and it's much easier when cutting to cut always towards yourself. So if you're doing that eye, you can cut all of the down elements, and then you can turn the board around and cut the other pieces of the eye out. Same with the J, you would do all the bits that go that way, and then you would spin your board around and do all of the bits that go that way. And then you want to pull out the inside. This piece that you've cut out, don't throw it away just yet, because maybe you'll be able to use it later for something else. So that little piece of the eye just pops straight out. And if you've got a nice sharp Stanley knife, it makes it so much easier for this part of the process. So I'll just show you one of these letters where I'm talking about with the bridging. We'll do an A. So you want to cut down all of the down bits. And then, I missed the bits of the arrow. And then twist your board around, cut down the other bits, and you should be able to if I've cut it properly, that should then just beautifully pop out. So in this case, I was rushing and the triangle came off the A, but you can still, like, you get the picture. I'll do another one just to prove that I can actually do it well. I'll do a P because they're much easier. So if you just cut across, do all of those areas. Here. Then we want to loop it around. And this one, hopefully, will just pop straight out. Yep. So, there's an example of how to do bridging. So obviously my P worked really well. It's got a little bridge here, holding on nicely to the center of the P. The A obviously not so holding on, but that's okay, it's all fun. There's no stress. You can either make a new one or just go with it. After you spend all of your time beautifully cutting out, getting it all ready, this is what your cut out stencil will end up looking like. And it's good to take time, and I mean, obviously I just buggered up the A, but it is important. So text is such a powerful tool and so beautiful to work with. Join me in the next video where we'll be going through creating a coloured background for this text design. Thank you for watching. You can find more videos from Territory artists at channelnt.com.au.